Hello and welcome back to another Total War Rome 2. This is our second PvP battle. This is the sequel to the first, where me and Team Master took on Dr. Dave and Death Ninja. On the other side, we defended and we came ahead and won after T lost his entire army and Ninja made a mistake on the walls. Well, we have a much more interesting scenario today. At least it turns out more interesting. Same teams, except now me and Team Master are defending and Dr. Dave and Death Ninja are attacking. There's been some faction changes, but here we have Dr. Dave's army, the Iceni, looking pretty much the same. Now that we're defending, I can actually examine all the armies right off the bat. Look at this. Britain Giant Ballistas. Jesus Christ. A ram pushed by Painted Ones. 1, 2, 3, 4 skirmishers, Britain skirmishers, javelin throwers, a full line of, oh god, is this all Chosen Spear Band? Jesus. And ladders, pushed by Chosen Sword Band, and finally, a chariot leader. Now this army is kind of stupid, considering he put it right here, on a cliff, where the only wall is right here. So we're talking one ram, maybe 3 ladders if one can fit over here. Otherwise, 2 ladders. He brought 4 ladders and a fuck ton of siege equipment. Now, I understand the point of maybe wanting to bombard from up here. But how are you going to get line of sight on anything? And I'm pretty sure this stuff right here is fixed, so you can't like move it up closer to the cliffs to get good angles on anything. And putting an entire army up to a little choke point, I never agreed with this the moment I saw it. Now that doesn't mean it's doomed to fail. He also has 1, 2, 3 siege towers over here, the Painted Ones, and teamed up with him is Death Ninja, playing as Rome. Now, we didn't notice this so it was too late, otherwise I might have advised him not to use Rome, because Rome in this game is severely overpowered. If you put 1 unit of Rome against 1 unit of any other faction, and it's the same type of unit, Rome's will pretty much always win. By a little bit of a landslide when you get especially into the realm of heavy and very heavy melee infantry. They have some massive advantages. So let's take a look at what they have. Praetorians and Legionary Cohort. A lot of Praetorians. Praetorians are scary. On these very heavy siege towers. Backed up by some Eagle Cohort. Auxiliary. Balearic Slingers. Interesting choice for skirmishers. 1, 2, 3 more towers here with Praetorians. 100% Praetorians. That is terrifying. Auxiliary Infantry. Auxiliary Syrian Archers. These are scary. They are some of the most deadly archers in melee combat, while still being damn good at range combat as well. General and Bodyguard. Auxiliary African Elephants. And Cav with a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Very heavy shot Cav, good at charging down enemies. And a ram pushed by auxiliary infantry. He really went like full elite Praetorian setup mixed with shitty auxiliary units. Now let's look at the defenses. Team Master is playing as... oh god, I'm not good at remembering who he plays as. But he has Royal Peltists, Thorax Pikemen. Yeah, he's just got a bunch of shit littered around this area. If you take a look at his army setup, most of it's just littered in the center. We made the agreement that I would take Rome because we were pretty confident that with his army setup and his experience with Total War in general, any Roman player would curb stomp his ass. He has put some units over here. The job I gave him is to hold off Dave, basically. Now, he put a surprisingly light force over here for holding off all of Dave's army. Just 2 thorax swordsman. And that has an effect later in the game that you'll see. He didn't really do as I wanted him to here, putting most of his units here instead of keeping them ready to fend off Dave's units. He did, however, put 1, 2, 3 camel spearmen, and I put an armored desert cav over here, as we had devised a plan together that we were going to charge out the gatehouse and run down the people pushing these towers, because as you see, there's no cav over here to stop us. There's no large amounts of spearmen or archers to get in our way, at least here. And I have another cav over here, which I should have put over here, but I didn't. He put 1 thorax swordsman here and here to defend the walls. Now, for my army, I did similar things, just defending the choke points. Basically, with my army, you can expect, well, we had some really cheap-ass slave infantry over here for defending against the main assault as choke points. Shotel warriors spread out along with Royal Kushite. Here's that other cav unit. We have more Shotel warriors, Kushite archers. I got some pikemen again, of course. My setup is very similar to last time, honestly. Maybe a little bit of differences, because I had a different budget to work with. Some armored Shotel warriors. Other than that, pretty much similar. The biggest difference comes in T's army setup, because he's bringing all these spear units and thorax pikemen and swordsmen and peltists. I really wish I remembered the name of the faction he was playing, but we're gonna hit start. Going over these armies takes so long. So yeah, Rome is gonna be a bitch to deal with, because again, Rome is just overpowered. Even if you put the shittiest possible player in their place of using them, they will inflict leagues of casualties on you. As you see, our cavalry charge is already beginning. I let his camel spearmen go first. Now through this, the last battle, I didn't really talk to T much. We didn't really strategize together because we weren't really working together. In this one, he kept saying he didn't know what to do and actually asking for advice. So at this point, I was just barking orders like, go around him, go around him, go around him. Alright, take notice of this, take notice of this. Alright, charge, but split your camel spearmen. Make it so that it's 1 spearman per unit that you're charging. Don't charge them all at once. And as you see, he did a terrible job at that. Just running directly into his own units. But I'm still running around, just trying to account for anything that might come from this way. Because as you see, he realized the issue over here. He's starting to send his general. He's sending both of his shock cav. That is all of it, right? Yeah, all of his shock cav to try to deal with this. And he's even... okay, maybe not pushing this yet. But he's pushing these guys up. And on the other side, archers have been pushed up to the cliff walls. Not archers, skirmishers. So shorter range than archers. With javelins that have no line of sight on any of this. And thus cannot be utilized. Even if they were archers, they wouldn't have line of sight and wouldn't be able to shoot anything. He has some chosen spear bands pushed up, starting to take some fire from the walls. Already 2 people are dead. Ooh, rather upgraded. The Rams pushing up. First siege tower about to land over here. I have decided to oh, okay, archers started firing like automatically. That's my fault. I didn't take them off of auto fire. Actually, I think I just turned auto fire on to deal with the Praetorians because I wanted to shoot into the sides. I should have held it for another minute. But he's landing the super elite, super heavy Praetorians up here. I'm getting some Shotel warriors up over here as a blockade. And over here, getting the Kushite slave infantry for the same purpose. Slave infantry are running outside to the auxiliary infantry, running up to stop the ram from getting to there, at least not too quickly, while the towers get a chance to fire down on the auxiliary infantry. My dirt cheap slave infantry, like these cost 160, these cost like something like 700. Go in and start serving as a diversion to allow more losses to be had. More Romans landing on the walls over here. The general has run forward over here. I have intercepted it with my desert cav and told T to move pretty much all of his camels over here so that we can snipe his general at the very beginning of the game. Hopefully ruin his morale for the rest of the game. But at the same time, it's Rome. And general dead at the beginning or not, you know Rome's going to suck. Shock Cav coming over here. That was not a charge in. They just casually ran up, so we negated any charge bonuses. Over here we got the painted ones charging in and running away and charging in and not knowing what they're doing. Dude, I don't know. I think they're running back to the towers so they can try to get on the walls. Archers are kind of pointed at us. Slingers, sorry, but they're not actually doing anything. Eagle cohort just chilling. Romans are up on the walls. Fighting my Shotel warriors from both sides. Towers are assisting. I should get these up here for a flanking tactic. I think my micro's elsewhere right now. But yeah. These guys, on the other hand, are fighting Shotel warriors on one side. And fighting... Oh no! Because these guys, different tower. These guys over here are fighting the Kushite slave infantry, dirt cheap fodder units. My other cav are finally charging out into what is a desperate attempt to take out some archers, immediately getting fired on, but charging heavy right there into the Syrian infantry, and all in all took out a little bit in the main charge, not the most, lost a lot, lost more in that initial charge, and we're surrounded by archers that are supporting them. Not my smartest idea. It would have been better if I moved to help over here or put 2 cav over here, because 4 units of Syrian archers, 1 cav unit is not going to take. This was a rookie mistake by me. They're wavering already, and they will be routing within seconds. The slave infantry over here are slowly dying off to the auxiliaries, but it's kind of an even fight, honestly. The assistance from the towers is helping a lot. Again, dirt cheap units. Holding on the walls. Got these other guys up. They're charging in the battle right now. And now these guys are fighting a 2-pronged fight. Took me a little bit to do this. Archers firing up. These ones are firing up. That angle's not so hot. Yeah, that angle's not the best. I should have moved them back a bit more. I think I was afraid of getting it too close to the Roman units over here. But, again, rookie mistake. They are still landing hits. So that's what counts. Wasting ammo in the beginning of the fight there. Let's take a look at this. These slingers are running away. The other slingers have been charged down by the camel spearmen. And... pretty much because I yelled at T. I remember T was like, should I go for the towers or the archers? I was like, go for the slingers. Go for the slingers. Because I knew it would be a better thing than just... These painted ones can be narrowed down on the walls pretty easily. But if you knock out entire slingers of ammo up there, it'll be pretty good. Getting up on the swords here. Thorax sword... Up on the swords. Up on the walls with thorax swordsmen to fight off these painted ones. They're landing now. I like zooming in here into the action sometimes. Oh my god! Why are they wearing fishnets? Why are grown-ass men wearing fishnets? You saw that, right? Are those fishnets? Okay, no. Those are spotted pants. Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought grown-ass men were wearing fishnets. That was scary. Charge back here into the running slingers, taking big damage, stopped him from getting to the walls pretty much. And same over here to some Eagle cohort, but the camels are losing. Camels are dying terribly. They're not going to maintain combat with Eagle cohort. The rest of Rome up here is pretty much overwhelming us to some extent. Like, they have a lot up here. Praetorians, legionary cohorts, Praetorians, and even some slingers now. And all I have is 2 groups of Shotel warriors who are highly outmatched by these Romans. Just highly outmatched. These are tier 3 infantry, if I believe Praetorians are tier 4, very heavy. Even though we have armor piercing, it's not going to help a tier 3 against a tier 4 that much. And he's really bringing the pain with him. Slinger's even coming in to help. It's going to be a long, gruesome battle for this wall. We haven't taken a look on the other side of the battle for a little bit, so let's take a look. Over here, one thing you missed is he pretty much did what I said and ran out and took the ram. Basically what I did in the other side of the wall. I basically yelled at him to do this. At this point, he actually said, so should I run away? And then I looked at what was happening. I was like, yeah, oh no! Oh, that was terrible. The enemies got too close. And the oil triggered a little bit. But took out the entire group here. For the most part, his skirmishers have been useless. These guys have been firing into the town the entire time. But because of the way that the buildings have worked, they've been missing a lot of their shots. These peltists have taken some decent damage, but not enough to justify bringing in all the siege equipment he did, I don't think. Although, T is just leaving these guys here to take fire, which is not the smartest thing. He should have moved them elsewhere. I took a little bit of fire at one point. He shot at my general, as you can see. 13 bodyguards died, so I ended up moving it away. He might have shot something else too, I forget. Or he will. He might start shooting at this at some point. If we take a look over here, my slave infantry, Kushite slave infantry, they all died. And this is the other one that was positioned here, has charged up to keep fighting the Praetorians. This is tier 1 infantry versus tier 4. Very light versus very heavy. No real armor piercing capability with these little daggers. It'd be so cool if he could have fallen off. Oh, but even shitty slaves can kill Praetorians if they try hard enough. Especially if those Praetorians are exhausted. Oh, the elephants! The elephants are here. I know at this point I yelled at T to assist me. I yelled at him to move his archers up and turn on fire arrows. To which point, immediately the elephants go out of control and start stomping all over this auxiliary infantry. A little bit on my Shotel warriors, but primarily on the auxiliary infantry, because that's what they were standing inside of. In a moment here, I'm going to have my Shotel warriors running away. They haven't taken much losses. I just wanted to make sure they didn't get stampeded. Put them in a line over here. Now these guys are open for archer fire. The elephants running off after slaughtering hordes of their own troops. Hordes of their own troops getting slaughtered. The moment I saw the elephants, I knew to prepare for that. Syrian archers over here assisting their men, firing into this combat, helping kill my slave infantry. As you can see, not the best angle. I love the physics of the arrows when they hit the wrong thing. This game has really nice looking arrows, much better than, say, Shogun 2. Auxiliary, their infantry auxiliary are charging my Shotel warriors, and there's some arrow fire. What happened to that charge? It just like fizzled out. Still firing fire arrows into their sides. Elephants coming back in, as you can see. There's so much happening on every part of this battle. I don't even know what part to focus at. Yeah, as you see, we immediately change fire back to the elephants, and they're out of control again, just like that. And that's pretty much our strategy for dealing with them. Oh god, they're just running at their own troops. This would be so terrifying. Alright, they got lucky. Kushite slave infantry are breaking. I knew this was inevitable. The troops here were only meant to hold them off. No more, no less. I think these guys are out of ammo. I wasted my ammo a lot with my archers this battle. They're actually going to be running into the fray now to be assisting with holding this side off. Basically just Russian tactics, you know, throwing bodies at them. Cav over here still alive, fighting the good fight. Eagle cohorts charging in, charging out. Allying with this camel spearman to just repeatedly charge in and cause some chaos. They can't defend two ways at once in this formation. The Iceni on this wall have been completely destroyed. And T's units on this wall... Oh, he charged back out to fight for some reason. I don't know why he did that. That's a terrible idea. If I knew he did that, I would have told him not to. Look at this fucking crazy-ass amount of units. Oil's still pouring out as the ram goes in to destroy the gate. It's almost destroyed. And everything over here is routed. And now, here's where I start disapproving of T's tactics. Everything here's dead. And he doesn't actually send anything else up here. He just kind of leaves Dave here by himself to do what it is he wants. Dave, by the way, has used pretty much all the ammo out of these and is now dismounting the troops and just sending them forward to join the battle. We just saw some of them running around over here. Where are they? Yeah, just running around. He's moved some Royal Peltis up here after I yelled at him to get them up here to retake the tower so we don't take archer fire. And especially to fire down at the enemies. Archer's coming back through and we're getting ready to fire at them. We were having some pathfinding issues with these guys. Still some noobish mistakes. Forgot to turn on guard mode basically. And out of control immediately. Take a look at this end again. As you can see over here, camels have died. My desert cav are running around. Constant fighting between the Shotel warriors and the Praetorians. Oh, fun fact about this whole fight, by the way. It's like 32 minutes. Same with the last one. Dave's internet is actually so bad that it was causing the entire game to lag. So we were playing this entire game on like half speed. At least for the first half of it. Which meant this game actually, both of them, took more like an hour to complete. It allowed for much more sound micromanagement, which is nice because we were all very shit at the game. Over here I have Royal Kushite archers fighting Praetorians. Terrible situation to be in. All my archers that ran out of ammo, I pretty much charged them in to distract these units while we took care of other sides. At this point, I've actually lost most of my frontline melee infantry. Most of it has died to Rome. I got these Shotel warriors right here. I got some armored ones in reserves. These are normal ones, but these are just two regular Shotel warriors left, and I've lost. After this is gone, I'm gonna lose 2 different units of archers as well. I've lost a lot of my army, because again, you know, when fighting Rome, there's only so much you can do, especially when fighting Praetorians. Unless you're playing as Rome. But, again, really doing my best. He's going for the cav with the elephants. I noticed this immediately, started running them around. My goal was to just get him back inside. But the main reason for all my losses is because for most of the fight, T hasn't done anything. He had 2 units over here, 2 units here, and the cav. He's had all these units in the town center, not doing anything for most of the battle. So unfortunately for me, most of the fighting was done by me. And because my micro was so split, I didn't realize how little he was doing to help. By this point in the battle, I actually had just noticed, and I gave him a little nagging about it, like, oh dude, listen, so yeah, you know, I just realized I've been fighting this whole time against Rome, lost most of my units, so you gotta deal with Dave, and because you for some reason didn't put your units up here, I still don't know why he just abandoned this gate. Like, they were so choke point that if he just held this gate, the arrow towers would have started slaughtering Dave's troops, but it was too late for that, so I started yelling at him specifically. Put the spears up here. Put pikes behind them, which he hasn't done yet. And then to put pikes over here. And he's kind of done that. He doesn't know the trick yet about putting them right behind there. This is the couple moments where I was actually teaching him that he could do that. But he is holding this kind of line against him. I placed these traps thinking we'd have a much different invasion happening. And he had troops down here. I had to yell at him to move them once I saw all these troops coming down. Oh, look at all these things that hit. Oh, Jesus Christ. Some of them actually got units that are just merged into the ground now. But yeah, finally seeing some action with the Iceni. Somewhere around this point in the game, also, by the way, the Roman player ended up disconnecting. Although this was after his units, his general was dead and most of his units were dead and there was nothing else he could really do. Which is the situation Rome is in at this point in the battle. Dave's army is pretty fresh, but so is T's because T hasn't been fighting. And Dave's fighting through this narrow choke point, so I mean, works out. These pikes still not moving up. I had to yell at him about 3 times to move these pikes up. Arrow fire at least going in. I don't know why he's going arrow fire. Look, he's even affecting his own units with it. Not what I would have done in his situation. Okay, he still doesn't move these up, so we're still not at the point where I taught him how to use pikes correctly. Got chosen swords moving in against thorax swordsmen. That's a pretty even fight. Pretty epic battle of the elites. Damn. Although the thorax are fighting a uphill battle. A charge downhill is never good. If he had his pikes in position, this would be no problem. Now I taught him how he can do it. And then I yelled at him immediately for running the units instead of walking them. Because when they run, they pull their pikes up. And you don't want them pulling their pikes up. Because that can get them all killed in a horrible ways. But finally has some pikes up here supporting his units. Now he will severely limit his casualties. I really had to give him the tutorial in depth here. Still lighting his own units on fire with fire arrows. Now his pikemen too. He's trying to inch his pikemen up slowly but surely. Oh god. Yeah, he was still trying to figure it out here. But again, it's only his second battle, his first day of playing. And he's learning. Although most of his units here have died. Hopefully this info will prevent situations like that in the future. And unfortunately, it will probably end up doing that while I'm on his opposing side in a future battle. Got Shotel Warriors, 2 very depleted units here. Fighting Praetorians. Everyone's exhausted. More Praetorians. We don't stand a chance over here. Royal Peltis, no, Thorax Swordsmen fighting Praetorians and Eagle Cohorts surrounded. Rather healthy unit, but they're wavering because they're exhausted and some of the enemies aren't. Bad situation. I got my archers over here. They have no ammo, so I'm rushing them up to try to help. Help with morale, help with holding off the Romans. Oh my god, these guys are fresh? Jesus Christ, yeah, we really got slaughtered up on these walls a little bit. But when you're facing down Roman Praetorians, again, there's only so much you can do. It would have been better if I saved my ammo, lined up archers here now, and just slaughtered the Praetorians like this, but that's not the situation we found ourselves in, unfortunately. Rookie mistakes. I'm sending pikemen to hold this line, realizing that this place is going to collapse. At this point, not realizing that the arrow tower would fire on it. I figured it out beforehand, though. More pikes over here just to hold the line. This may be before that player disconnected. Still 9 minutes left in the battle. We got a terrible, just battle of attrition happening. You see all the arrows. Still lighting his own units on fire. I don't know why he was doing that. I don't think he remembers how fire arrows worked from Shogun 2. And he needs to move these pikes up a little bit more. I don't know if this is quite close enough. And the entire time, I didn't mention this to him, the entire time, the arrow towers were just firing down on him. And also maybe these? What else? Oh, these guys have some javelins as well. Are they throwing fire javelins? How do you throw fire javelins? What even is a fire javelin? How does that work? I'm just gonna take a fucking, like, metal rod. I know there's wood on it. I'm gonna light it on fire in my hand, and I'm gonna throw it. It encourages the units to throw it as far as they can so as to not light themselves on fire. Like, is that what's happening? Royal Peltis had to come up here and fight in melee because the previous unit died. The pikes are not supporting because they're not close enough. Let's check out the more deadly battle over here. It's a clusterfuck, dude. Thorax Swordsman still just holding the line against way too many Chosen Sword Band. So, yeah. Royal Peltis here as well. The pikes are close enough. This is always a good strategy, by the way. You have pikes with melee units up front supporting. And then if you're, if it's just pikes, it's okay. But if you can get pikes supported by a heavy melee unit, even better. And you can cycle units out as they get too tired. Unfortunately, T's units are getting very tired. So is his opponent's. And is he running out of ammo? He's running out of ammo. He's out of ammo. I think he's out of ammo completely for all his ranged units. Running my armored Shotel Warriors back. Shotel Warriors. My only healthy Shotel Warriors is when I move these guys back, realizing they get shot at. Same here. I basically told T, don't worry about Rome. Stop worrying about Rome. I want you to use as many of your units as you can and just fight Dave. Because we're just throwing meat to a grinder against a tier of unit that is too overpowered in the game to really beat with what we have unless I start throwing my 2 units of armored Shotel Warriors up there. You know what would be nice? A armored Shotel Warrior general. I don't know why that's not a thing. It might be. And I might just choose Cav for versatility, but... Got the Thorough Spears moving up. He's running out of units slowly, but surely. But so is Dave. We're looking at the rest of it here. Chosen Sword Band barely recovering. General behind, not doing much. Just lobbing some fire javelins. Over here now, it's just the Britain skirmishers and an almost dead Chosen Spear Band fighting up close with now Thorough Spears and Royal Peltis. Finally moving the pikes up. Finally! Oh, I've been waiting so long to see this. Good job, T. You're getting the hang of it. Now, next time we fight, if you could conveniently forget I taught you one of these things, I would very much appreciate it. That can be your payment for me teaching you. Right? Running away, just destroyed on this side. The recovered Chosen Spear Band is literally about to rush pikes. I want to see this. I want to see them rush into pikes. Literally rushing into pikes. That is some quality. I mean, I know what else is he really supposed to do right now, but quality. On the other hand, there's still a gigantic Zerg fighting now exhausted Royal Peltis. Active Thorough Spears came to reinforce. The pikemen, Persian Light Archers are running in. He's sending everything. At this point, I took the only archer group I had left, I think. And what I was going to do is send them over here to recapture this tower. Don't know why I didn't think of this earlier. In case he needed it. Oh, at this point, his melee units are lobbing javelins and stuff into the rear of these units. And we have a very fun situation. This is the remnants of Dave's army. The Romans are still alive, AI controlled right now, and they're running into spears. pikes, that is. There wasn't much else they could do, but this is what they chose to do. Is in this weird-ass column formation, run into a bunch of pikes. I love how some of the pikeman units just pull out little daggers. I wonder what makes them do that. I guess they just do that when, yeah, they do that when a Praetorian gets too close. I was wondering where they come from, if they were just mixed into the unit. And you don't want that to happen, really. That's why you put another unit of melee infantry in front of pikes. I just didn't really have any others to spare. Like, I had one Shotel warrior unit, two armored, and I was kind of having to utilize them for otherwise defense. These Romans are breaking. The entirety of Dave's army is now just routing. Casually running for their lives. They've seen enough. The Iceni want to go back to the Britons. They don't even know why they're in the desert to begin with. I realized that these guys were somewhat useless. Until later I realized that it keeps firing on T's units. And T decides to stop moving most of his units. And even though these are moving up, I don't think he ends up recapturing this himself. So, the only issue right now is just that these guys literally are not running away, even though their generals have been gone since the beginning of the game. The thing about high-tier Roman infantry like this is not only are they just so elite and so deadly, but they actually have a morale boost that other units don't have, that even if the general is dead, they kind of don't get hit by that. These are Eagle cohorts, so they're not as good like that, as you can see. They're wavering. I believe Praetorians also give units around them a morale boost. So we were just in a situation where it was this guy acting like he was his own general. So we had to actually go fight him. I sent the Shotel warriors over here to catch the tower. I was hoping they'd just run away when we get here. So T's actually the one that ends up running upstairs to start the fight. Sending his Thorax swordsmen up against the Eagle cohorts, which are the ones closest to routing. And we still really, at this point, cannot believe that they're not all routing yet. I wish I had more camera zoom capability. I love Rome. Rome is my favorite faction, but they're definitely OP. That's why I decided to start with Kush for a lot of these battles. Play a simpler faction that isn't OP, so I can learn what it's like to play a faction that does not have a giant boost to its stats. The Eagles are routed. All that's left now is these Praetorians. I sent my general up. Give some morale and combat boosts. And hopefully help scare away the Praetorians, who still, despite everything, are like, no, we can fight. Getting charged from two sides now. You could see how tired these units were while they were charging in. But that's it. Hell of a battle. Hell of a fucking battle. I got a bunch of losses, more than I did kills, but again, when fighting Rome, coming out alive is already great. When fighting Praetorians on walls, while mismanaging your arrows, even better. T getting a bunch of kills due to the way Dave was managing his units. Also due to those delicious cavalry charges in the beginning of the game. Battle duration exactly 32 minutes? I don't think so. There has to be some seconds in there. Take a look. Dave's army getting almost no kills. Situation Death Ninja was in the past game. Losses about the same for both of them. Really, he didn't do anything strategically well at all. There's nothing that stood out about his strategy or his units to talk about. Really, the whole idea was just pretty bad. Most of his siege equipment was useless. That which was not was left undefended. And his units were funneled into tight spaces and left out of the fight, thus unable to support his overpowered ally for the entire battle. Were he able to charge in a lot earlier in the battle, I think there's a good chance that they could have won. Just because of the beauty of a Roman curb stomp, but I have to take a look at Rome. 101 kills on the elephants, but I can guarantee you, almost all of these were units that were Roman. So take that into account when you're looking at these kills. Minus this by about 100. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The Praetorians and Eagle cohorts, the ones on the walls, of course, doing really well. But that's about it. No more to say here. That's all we've recorded so far. It was a whole lot of fun. I can't wait to learn more and do more playing this game. We're streaming these campaigns on Twitch every about Sunday through Tuesday, those days in general. If you want to watch them, come watch us over on Twitch. The link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.